Hello, hello.
Hi.
Well, hello there.
Can you hear
Hello,
us?
Shenzhen.
Hello.
Ni men hao.
Oh, we cannot hear you.
Why not? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? No? No? Hello, hello.
Do you hear us though?
I hear
Can
you.
you? Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, that's weird.
Is it better now?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Oh, oh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yeah. You can hear me? Hmm. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you
Oh,
here.
good, good, good. Thank good.
Okay,
Thank
good.
good.
Okay.
And if I share the screen, can you see that?
Yeah, we can see that. We can see that.
Cool.
Okay.
Good.
So we what time is it? Okay. We will wait for someone else until like 8:05.
Okay.
Okay. And then we start. Okay.
May Wen T.
No problem. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, 1 minute to go.
Good. Can you still hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
first of all, applause for our guest, Michael Jordan, to give us the speech about strategic communication. Thank you, Michael. I will just make it short. So now is your time. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. Did you want to say something short?
No, just this.
That was short.
A little bit of warm up and just it's your time.
Okay, good. Well, Nieman Hao, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this training. I don't know if you saw the title yet. Here, hold on just a second. Hold on. This is the name of my training today. I wanted to talk to you all about strategic storytelling, to give you a few skills and strategies to build your company's brand. Okay. But I'm going to be combining this. This is going to be a combination. Oh, you can hear me still? Yes, you can still hear. So this will be a combination of what I call strategic storytelling, also corporate brand building, a bit of media relations, and also what I call China's Global Communications Challenge. Because I lived in Beijing for 5 years. I'll explain a bit more about that. I lived in China for 5 years, and I was also a visiting professor in Hong Kong, not far from you in Shenzhen, teaching at Hong Kong Baptist University, teaching international journalism. So I have now 15 years experience working with the Chinese and working with China. And I've come to recognize that China has a global communications challenge. So I'll explain that in just a minute. But I see that we have a small enough group. Can I ask you I'm curious what kind of, well, who you are? Maybe just briefly, if you can tell me who you are and what your innovation is. Can we do that, please? Just to learn a bit more about who
A brief introduction of your projects.
Yes, brief.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, nice to meet you, Michael. My name is Li Zheng, and now we are doing a board game hardware technology product. Thank you.
Good.
Hello, I'm Tim. I think I have met you on CES. I'm the smart hair clipper guy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice to see you again.
Hi, my name is Tommy, and we're doing interactive clothing, e-textile. This is my colleague.
Hello, I'm Jia Hong, and my English name is Andrew.
Yes.
And we are doing a product about the AI products to the children. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, my name is Tang Shi, and my project is doing makeup technology products and makeup removal technology products.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Hello, my name is Ying Yu, and my English name is Felix. I'm
Yeah.
very happy to attend this meeting. I'm not an entrepreneur because I'm having my internship in this place, and now I'm in the robotic group, which developed very innovative hair loss treatment devices. It's very happy to interact with you and have this meeting with all of these guys because I know that all of them is very creative and have a very pioneer brand mindset. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dian Jia, and I'm doing smart musical instrument now.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Long Jianglin, and my product is about AI camera.
Excellent. Anyone else?
Oh, hello, my name is Terry, and now we are developing the cold brew coffee maker and natural coffee maker.
Hi, Michael. I'm a new starter here, and I'm still exploring my direction. So happy to have this meeting with you.
Thank you. You have time to choose your direction.
Yeah.
Ed.
Hello, Michael. I'm Leo and from HKUST, and currently we're working on the electric water scooter targeting the European and the American market. So right now, so for today's meeting, we really want to know like how can we tell a good story to attract like overseas markets target audience. Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you.
线上有没有同学要介绍一下自己的？I'm asking if there's anyone from online who want to introduce themselves.
Okay.
Anyone?
Oh, we also have an online crowd. Cool.
Yes, online, offline, both. Okay.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, it seems not. So, okay, let's give back back to you again, Michael.
Great. Well, first of all, 认识你们好高兴. I'm always happy to speak with Chinese colleagues, Chinese students. I've been doing now, like I said, for 15 years. So I'm happy to have this opportunity to speak with you about something that I think is very important, since so many of you have such exciting creative ideas and how to get the word out, but not just how to tell your story, but how to tell it in an effective and persuasive way, even an impactful way, especially for an international audience. Okay, so I'll do my best over the next hour plus to share my different skills and strategies for how you can tell that story. Okay. And hopefully, I'm glad to see that so many of you are courageous to speak up. Hopefully, we'll also have time for some of you to speak up and just to describe for me what your communications objectives are or your challenges are, because I love real life scenarios, and then because I'll share some skills and strategies with you, we'll be able to apply some of those strategies to your reality today. Okay. And also to let you know, we're recording this, so if you want to watch it, rewatch it over and over and over again, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay. So let's begin. Let me get I've created a PowerPoint for us. Okay. So as I said, this is my introductory tile. Today, sorry, my throat's a little rough. I'll be drinking some water to survive. So I have an agenda for today. First of all, I want to explain to you why global communications and strategic communications matter, why they are important. Then why I believe you need strategic storytelling. Then I'll tell you just a little bit about how I learned some of these skills and strategies from my career as an international journalist, that I've been fortunate enough to have lived on 4 continents so far. That first, I lived as a young man, I lived in Europe for a number of years, then moved to Africa, and then also to China. So first I was an international journalist. Then I expanded into teaching as a visiting professor of international journalism. And then when I moved to Africa, I then branched into a third field, global communications. And I'll mention a little bit about that, okay? Then, as you see, I'll talk a little bit about who exactly China's international audience is, who I think your international audience is. Then I'll describe what I see as China's global communications challenge and the key for how you can overcome that challenge, okay? And then I will apply that briefly because this isn't a media training or media relations training, but I want to at least explain to you how all that applies to media relations, especially if you get to the point where you want to attract Western journalists, American journalists to actually write about your product or to interview you, okay? Then, as I said before, I'd love to hear some examples from you guys, but for now, at least, I'm going to apply some of my skills and strategies to Shenzhen InnoX Academy itself, looking at the organization's website, just with a few observations, a few pieces of analysis about how to apply my skills to even the organization. And then lastly, I'll talk about where I think you should start to come up with a global communication, strategic communications plan, okay? And then, like I said, I'll take some of your questions and some of your real life challenges, okay? So for now, everyone can hear me? You can still hear me pretty well? Good. And you can see me over here in the little square off to the side? Okay, good. Okay, so let me begin then, all right? Look, big picture. First of all, I should also mention I'm coming to you from my home office here in New York City, okay? In Manhattan, not too far from Central Park, okay? So, to begin with, the way I describe this, why global communications matters, is because, as I say, nowadays, we are swimming in a sea of brands, okay? As you know, every day, all day long, we're being hit with media, with information about different brands, whether it's companies or organizations or government agencies or individuals who are approaching us. All of us are a brand in many ways. And guess what? All of us are saying that we are wonderful. All these products on the screen, it's very rare that you would find a product that would say, we're so-so, we're mediocre, we're mama hoo-hoo. All of us have a self-interest to say how wonderful we are, okay? Which means that not all that can be true. As you know, online, especially, there can be so much misinformation, disinformation, fake news, propaganda, whatever it may be, inaccurate news and information, especially those who are out there trying to trick us, trying to lie to us, okay? So in general, here, let me move to the next screen. In general, each of us is a brand. All of us are offering a product or service to the market, okay? But on the one hand, how can we stand out? How can we prove that we are truly who we say we are, that we are doing what we say that we're doing, that we are as good, especially how can we prove that we are as good as we say we are, especially for you guys, all of you with new products or hoping to create new products? How can you prove that your product is as good as you only claim it is, okay? So this is also, just to let you know, this is also a question of media literacy. When we're being hit by all this information, we need to be able to filter out, to identify what's real, what's not, okay? Even part of our own survival, we can't believe everything that we hear, okay? On the other hand, when we're receiving this information, we all need to survive with survival skills for how to identify what's true, what's not. But then also, if we are content creators, then we keep an eye out. We keep in mind that our audience also needs to be smart, and we need to be more persuasive. We need to prove to our audience that we are truly who we are, saying what we, doing what we say we're doing. In fact, as you see on the screen, I'm going to talk to you in a couple of minutes about LinkedIn. Okay. I don't know if some of you are already on LinkedIn. Shenzhen InnoX Academy is on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm on LinkedIn. Much of the world, much of the business world is on LinkedIn. Okay. But guess what? There are a lot of liars on LinkedIn. Okay. Every day I'm approached by some scammers, one or two, who are trying to trick me, trying to attract my business by telling me falsehoods, okay, by lying to me. So on LinkedIn or online itself, I want you all to understand that we all face two fundamental challenges, okay, as you see in the middle of the screen. We all must prove that we are who exactly we say we are, okay, and doing what exactly we say we're doing. But even more important, even more challenging, that we must prove that we are exactly as good as we claim to be. That's an even higher challenge. I'll explain how to do that. And by the way, what you are all aiming to do is one of the greatest challenges. It's one thing if we're only trying to inform the audience or to educate our audience. That'd be one thing, to persuade them to believe us. But actually, what you guys are going to be trying to do, if you're doing it already or in the future, one of the highest forms of strategic communications is to convince someone to reach into their pocket and to pull out money to give you their money. Okay? Right? Why should I if you say I have the best new makeup products, okay? Or hair transplant, hair removal, hair growing, whatever the technology, why exactly should I believe you so much that I'm prepared to buy your product? That's a very high level, okay? Let me explain a bit more about that, okay? As I said, I've been very fortunate to have lived on 4 continents, okay? So I've lived around the world. And one thing I've noticed from around the world, this is not unique to Americans, it's not unique to Chinese or Europeans or Africans, but I've noticed that there are, in general, 2 different types of audience in the world. On the left-hand side of the screen, some people, unfortunately, are sheep-like. They're like sheep. They will follow blindly, unthinkingly, without critical thinking skills. Okay, and you know what? Some of them may be our family, our friends. We love them, okay? But if you tell them that this is the best phone, they may say, oh, okay, it's the best phone. And they may just follow blindly and believe some advertisement, okay? Here in New York City, across the street, it says, there's a pizzeria. It says, New York's best pizza. How do we know that's true? How can you prove that that's true? Is that just PR? Is that just marketing propaganda? Okay. Or have they won some prize? Do they have some evidence, some photo, some headline from a magazine saying that they won an award as New York's best pizza? You see what I mean? Even something like that. Just that we all need to become more like the second image, not like the sheep, but the second image is of the thinker, the critical thinker, okay? The person who won't immediately believe what they're told or what they read or what they hear, okay? This person, this audience has critical thinking skills. And guess what? For the audience on the left, the audience on the left is not a sustainable audience. You can lie to people once and say this is the best phone, okay? But can you keep lying over and over again, okay? It's not a sustainable business model to keep lying or exaggerating to the audience, okay? On the other hand, I believe most of you, I'm always aiming for the second audience, okay? Which is a more elite audience, higher level. And guess what they demand from me? They won't, if I say, oh, I'm a global communications specialist, media relations specialist, they're not just going to nod their head and say, oh, okay, Michael says he's a specialist, he's an expert. They're not just going to believe me. I must provide evidence, proof, okay, to prove that I am. And one thing I'm going to emphasize today is the need for all of you. If you're going to say that your product is great, even the best, the one way to do that, the most effective way to do that is with evidence. Okay, what kind of evidence? Concrete, meaning very specific. Credible, meaning believable. Even verifiable, meaning that it can be proven. You have some evidence to prove that it's true. Okay. Now, okay. So let me now talk about a bit about strategic storytelling, okay? And to explain what I mean by strategic storytelling, okay? It's not just any kind of storytelling, as I say, not just any storytelling, but storytelling for a purpose, okay? Our intent is to achieve a strategic objective, okay? So, for example, if you, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, for you to prove your results, okay? So when your strategic objective is when we or our organization are under some pressure, from whom? From partners, from investors, from consumers, customers, clients, okay? Maybe from the media, maybe from the government agencies, to prove that we, to prove our results or to prove our impact, and to do so persuasively, okay? Such as results or impact. And as I say in the bottom line here, a key component to overcome our audience's skepticism. I hope does everyone know what skepticism means? Please, can one of you say to the others what skepticism means? Because it's such an important word. You know what skepticism means? Not suspicion, where you don't believe everything. Skepticism is, should I believe? Should I not believe? That means that you need to work hard to prove to them, to overcome their skepticism. And like I said a minute ago, the one way to do that is with concrete, credible, verifiable evidence, especially to then present your evidence transparently. Okay? Hey, so far.
我在这儿，哎，你能看到这个 FC 上面吗？还是你要给我
So far, any questions? Any questions from anyone?
什么叫上面？
我在想这边能不能？Wendy，你的那个麦克风没有关，可以关一下吗？
What's that?
Yeah, I think someone is not turning its mic off just to
Uh-oh.
make sure they got a question or not. No.
Good.
Wendy?
Sure. Now,
Yeah.
good. Now,
Otherwise, we are good, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. So no questions so far? Okay, let me
Not yet.
return. Good. Okay. So like I said, the strategic storytelling is the most effective way. I've learned that it's the most effective way to overcome this skepticism, okay? Among strangers, I want you all to understand, and I'm sure you've already experienced this in life, okay? When you meet a stranger, think about your own psychological reaction. You meet a stranger, it's natural to feel some skepticism, some suspicion about who that stranger is, okay? It's natural, just like with any product, any new brand. Who is that? What is that product? Can I trust it or not? Okay, that's suspicion, that's skepticism. And then the challenge within strategic communications is how can you lower that wall of skepticism, if not suspicion? How can you lower that wall and build a bridge of trust? Okay. Now, of course, as you know too, It depends on the audience, who exactly our audience is, because our audience may be smart, but skeptical, and maybe closed-minded. Maybe they have a closed mind, and nothing we say can ever change their mind. In that case, we write them off. We say, well, that's hopeless. We're not aiming for that person. If they have such a closed mind, we can't just exhaust ourselves, okay? What we're aiming for, our target audience, are the smart audience, but skeptical, okay? We need to work hard to prove ourselves, but also that audience is open-minded, okay? That they are willing to try new products, okay? They're willing to partner with you if you can prove to them, okay, that you mean what you say. When you promise this, you actually mean it, okay? That you are trustworthy, okay, deserving of that trust, okay? And that's a step-by-step process. And as I've learned, the only way, I mean, this is from all my travels, all my journalism and teaching and communications, okay? The only way, this is one of the most important lessons from today, okay? That the only way to touch the mind, to influence the mind of a skeptic, is with that evidence, with that credible, believable evidence, okay? Because then they're stroking their chin, should I believe your brand or not? And then you hit them with evidence, 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 okay? And then step by step, their mind starts to open, okay? And in fact, I want you to know that the one way I describe this is with your companies, for example, okay? These are not just journalism skills that I'm sharing with you, okay? This is also some detective work. One reason why I enjoy this challenge is because it's also some detective work and even some lawyerly work, the work of a lawyer, okay? Meaning that your challenge, and I hope you all take this as a lesson, okay? That you're all sitting there thinking, how can I prove that my product is so good? Okay, how can I prove to that target audience, to persuade them, to convince them that my product is as good as I say it is, okay? I would say not just one piece of evidence, detective work. Something happened here, okay? My challenge is to prove that either my results or my impact, okay? And a detective, if a crime has taken place, a detective would also be investigating and looking for pieces of evidence. And then they go to court. Then the lawyer with the judge, with the jury, okay? A lawyer wouldn't go to the judge and jury. In this case, your audience, your consumers, your partners, your investors, wouldn't say, Your Honor, my client is innocent. What? You need evidence? You need proof? What? You don't trust my face? No, we don't just trust your face. A smart lawyer goes into the court with the judge saying, Your Honor, my client is innocent. My brand is excellent. How do we know? Here's Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. Multiple pieces, at least 3 pieces of evidence, concrete, credible, believable pieces of evidence to win your argument, to win your case, okay? And so that it's only with credible evidence that we can touch the mind of a skeptic. On the other hand, with the storytelling, I want you to know that with the humanized, that the way to touch the heart of a skeptic is with the humanized storytelling. And I'll talk about this more in a minute, okay? But where you can actually talk about how your product is positively impacting real people, to show, not just to tell, oh, we have many satisfied customers, but to show by telling a story. This is what I mean by strategic storytelling. Strategic storytelling would have the evidence to touch the mind of a skeptic, but then would also be humanized, okay, to touch the heart of a skeptic, okay? And by the way, what I'm sharing with you today, this strategic storytelling, now from my home office here in New York, I now apply this to many different fields, So for example, sustainability for companies, for organizations is a very important issue, as you may see on many Chinese corporate websites. Okay, sustainability. So I call this sustainability storytelling, or ESG storytelling, which is environmental social governance, or CSR, corporate social responsibility storytelling, or SDG storytelling, which is for nonprofits, the world's 17 sustainable development goals. So I apply the same principles of credible evidence and humanized storytelling for all kinds of companies and organizations, with anytime they're under pressure to prove their results or their impacts. Okay. Now, I'm happy to be speaking with you guys, because I know that that you're all starting off. You're early in your career, okay? And LinkedIn, I want you to understand how important it is for young Chinese like yourselves to be joining LinkedIn if you're going to be working anywhere in the international arena, working with international partners, or aiming for an international audience, working for international employers, okay, living abroad, that sort of thing. Or even if you remain in China, excuse me, there's something on my glasses. Even if you remain in China, but you're aiming for the international audience, okay, you all need a presence on LinkedIn, okay? And here you'll have a recording so you can see all the reasons that LinkedIn is beneficial. But again, on LinkedIn, you must be able to prove who you are, doing what you say you're doing, and that you are as good as you say you are, okay? And I need to move a bit more quickly now, because there's a lot to share, and I don't want to just talk. I want to hear from you guys. But I could maybe come back for another event talking about more specifically how to build your brand on LinkedIn, okay? As you see, I've worked with organizations, even in Beijing, I did a training on how to build your brand. It's an executive coaching, okay? So also on LinkedIn, I want you guys to understand with the strategic storytelling. Oh, wait, is someone
就是那个西服，他鼓动那个副舰长，
Wendy, is that
比如
you?
给他递一些精神类的书，让他看一些精神类的书，鼓动他哗变。他认为他自己要上位， 那他到最后的时候，他又不肯在法庭上
Can you hear that, or is that just me?
作证，是为什么呀？
Wait, who was? Can they please? Okay. Yes, if someone else could please mute, okay? Okay. I want to talk about the storytelling a bit, okay? That there are actually 4 different kinds of
他那个
storytelling
西
that I
服，
see.
他给那个副舰长那个，比如一些
那个广州
精神类的
9093是
书，
谁？
他
请把你的麦关掉。
那他讲些精神类。
I'm sorry, Michael.
This is the technology today.
Michael?
Yes.
Can you kick him out?
How do I do that?
GZ9093. Okay. Let's go on. Thank you.
Good. Hold on just one second, okay? I just want to show real quick here, for example, okay? I don't know if many of you guys are on LinkedIn or not, okay? But on LinkedIn, I've identified 4 different kinds of content, okay? You can see here I have for example, here, let me show you the different kinds. Wait. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. 4 different kinds of storytelling content that you need on LinkedIn, but also on your website, okay? When you're creating your brand, I call the first kind essential proof, okay? Which documents as a verb, I'm sorry, not as a noun, not that you need dry text. You need to document who you are, doing what you say you're doing. It can be both written and photographic, okay? So for example, just to show you, just to show you that even let's say on my LinkedIn, okay, you'll see that I gave a talk a couple weeks ago, right? And so then I take a photo and I write about it as proof that I am who I say I am. That's essential proof. Or this event from Las Vegas, where I first met Ben Wang, okay? And I first came across Shenzhen InnoX Academy, okay? So whatever I do, and this is what you guys need to do too, whenever you do something significant, something important, something meaningful, okay, you and your brand, you should take a photo or get someone to take a photo, and then you write about it as a piece of evidence to prove, again, that you are who you say you are, that you do what you say you're doing, okay? And even to prove that you are as good as you claim to be. So here I have also a newsletter, okay? Because this is another form. My newsletter is the Global Communications Toolkit. You see, I have more than 5,000 subscribers, okay? And I put different chapters. And you know what this is nowadays? This is called thought leadership. This is another form of content and of storytelling where you can prove that you have a specialty, even that you have expertise. You can express your opinion, your thoughts, your opinion, okay? So here, back to the screen. You have essential proof, okay? Like I said, the day-to-day of different milestones, different achievements of your product. At the bottom here, I showed you thought leadership, which showcases your thoughts, ideas, opinions, analysis, insights, experience, commentary, okay? But also number two is your origin story, okay? Your origin story can be important too. And on your website, when you say about us or who we are, okay? It shouldn't just be the dry facts of we were founded in the year 2023 in the city of Shenzhen and all that. That's not enough. The origin story could be your origin story as the founder. It's a story of your inspiration, of your motivation, okay? How and why you were able to come up with this idea, and then step by step to bring it to life, okay? And by the way, you know why this is important? It's not just me. I want to tell the story of me, okay? Because within that origin story, you're also able to share your values, who you are, what you care about. And why is this important? Because maybe a future investor, next time you go looking for investors, and you want them to learn more about who you are, why you care. Your origin story can include not just your story of inspiration, but also your passion for this field, okay? It can also show your competence, okay? Then I did this, then I did that, then I took that third step. Oh, that was a smart strategy. They're going to read about how smart you were, okay? The path that you followed, the path that you took. That you can also show in that story your commitment, your dedication, your determination, okay? All those can be within your origin story and will make a positive impression and will earn you trust of potential partners, investors, customers, clients, donors, okay, if you're looking for donations, okay? So that's why the origin story is important, all right? And then number 3 is the impact story. To show how your product or your service affects real people, real customers, clients, okay? Even partners, to show the impact story on your partners potentially, okay? Which is, it's simply put, I mean, I could really go into great detail about this, but it's simply a before and after story. Before our client, our customer, before we met our clients or customer, here's what their life was like. Here's what their situation was like, okay? And then we were able to step by step have this positive impact on them. And then you can tell the story. In the future, working with you guys, I could actually do a writing workshop on any of these pieces of content, okay? So moving forward, you know what? We're running out of precious time. I won't tell you too much about my journalistic journey, how I learned some of these skills, but I got my start in Budapest, Hungary, in Central Europe, okay, as a young journalist selling to newspapers and magazines. This is my first big article from the Bosnian War 30 years ago, many years ago, okay? Let me skip ahead. I already mentioned the need for credible evidence to show, not tell. I also have a 4-step formula, which is really very important for you to come up. This is how I come up with strategic, my communications strategy. 4 steps, a 4-step formula, okay? First of all, to identify who exactly your target audience is, okay? Ooh, I need to create some content to attract investors, or I need to create content to attract customers or clients, right? Now, thinking through, this is such an important skill, one of the most important skills that I also want to share with you. Do I have it on a slide here? Empathy and EQ, okay? I see this mistake made way too many times, okay, by entrepreneurs, by innovators, companies, that sort of thing. By any communicator online. You create content, you may be thinking, me. What do I want to say about myself, about my company, okay? But to be a really effective strategic communicator is also to think about your target audience. To imagine yourself in the shoes of the person who may be reading or listening or watching. How are they receiving this information from us? Okay. So, for example, back to my 4-step formula, who exactly is my target audience? Why are they my audience? Why would or should they read this? What can they learn from it? In what way can you benefit from it? Or else, why should you care? See, even right now, before I gave this presentation today, I was thinking about you guys. Okay, you're my target audience. Who are you? Smart, educated. I imagine most of you, if not all of you, speak English, okay? Because you're listening to a guy like me talking with no interpreter, okay? I imagine that you all have ideas. You have a product, okay? Maybe you already have a website. Maybe you just have ideas for your product or service, your new brand, okay? And maybe you're only dreaming right now about how to reach the international audience to sell more of my products, okay? So I imagine you came to this workshop today, this training today, maybe for a few new skills, okay? To open your eyes, to broaden your horizons, okay? It's a free event. So then I thought, okay, maybe you're sitting there hoping for some path forward to understand communications better, okay? So then I thought to myself, okay, the next step. So who exactly is my audience, right? Then what exactly do I want to say? What exactly do you want to say to your target audience? Okay. Again, if they are potential investors or customers or other partners, what do I want to write? What kind of content? What point do I want to make? What arguments? Okay. What idea am I proposing? What message? Okay. This is for next time you guys are around a conference room table. It's the same idea of having a strategy. Hey, I have a big meeting today with a possible investor. Who are they? What do I know about them and why? What do I want to say? Then it's the 3rd step. Why exactly do I want to say that? Why exactly do I want to make that point or that argument or deliver that message? For us to become critical thinkers and think through what exactly we want to say and why, okay? But then even more so, this is what we want to say and why, but then for us to think through, if I were the target audience, if I were in their shoes, my words, my content, will this hit the target? Will it touch their mind? Will it touch their heart? Will it persuade them or not? And then for us to even answer that question here down in the, you know, my audience, if you see down with the why exactly, the filter I came up with, my audience should find this content interesting, even persuasive, valuable, because why? For us to even think through why exactly our messaging, our content would work, okay? And then lastly, the fourth step, once we think through what we want to say, why we want to say it, then the question is how to say it, okay? With what facts, what evidence, what details, what stories, maybe what photos, what images, what examples, maybe videos, maybe maps, maybe graphs or data, okay? So, you know, I need to zip through. I could talk more about then my experience in Africa and how I learned. By the way, this is how I learned the impact story. I want to share this with you because once you start selling your products and you start to hear of happy customers, okay, you can actually tell the story of your satisfied customers. If you've improved their lives, if you've made a difference, okay, what I learned, this is what I learned from while I was living in Africa, in this tiny African kingdom of Lesotho. If you see down here in the middle of South Africa, that this was from a project I did on HIV, AIDS, and HIV orphans and mothers and caregivers, okay? Where I was writing about working for an organization to try to show their impact. And I came up with this method for impact stories where first, if you look at the bottom of the screen, and this is for your clients, for your customers too, what their situation was like before. If it's regarding makeup, if it's regarding hair, it's regarding AI education for some tools for children. You can describe what the challenge was like, what the situation was like before, okay? And then you knock on the door. If you look at the right here, there's a knock on the door. That's your brand, your product, now intervening in their life, okay? And then you can say, and then once you started using our product, then what happened? Then what happened? And so you're documenting in the story how your product, your brand, your service made a difference in their lives. So you're telling a story, meaning more. It's important to have more than on your website than just a testimonial from, wow, this product was wonderful. Those are empty words. To tell a real story about how your product delivered some results, had some impact. That's what I mean by an impact story, okay? You know what? I could tell you about how to produce these stories. That's maybe for a writing workshop, if for those of you who are interested, okay? I have lots of graphs and visuals on how exactly to produce these stories, okay? But this is some from some teaching and training I did in China. I was in China daily, but what I want to do, I want to zip ahead, okay? I also worked at in Beijing at CCTV, at China Global Television Network, CGTN. One more thing I want to explain to you, okay? I know I'm doing a lot of talking, and I'll give you a chance to talk, I promise, okay? I wanted to share this with you, okay? Because you're sitting in Shenzhen, looking at the rest of the world, and you have dreams of selling internationally, okay? Again, I lived in Beijing for 5 years, and I've been traveling to and visiting China now for 15 years, okay? And some of you sitting there may be thinking, oh, the world doesn't like us, okay? I want to talk to you about China's foreign audience, the international audience that I learned about while living and working inside of China and outside of China. Okay, because here's your opportunity. For those of us around the world, in America, in Europe, in Africa, elsewhere in Asia, South America, okay, there are basically anyone among the international community who even cares about China somehow, knows about China, okay? Because of course, as you know, in China, America, around the world, there are many people who don't care about international news, international affairs. All they care about is their own country, their own city, their own community, their own family. That's fine, okay? What we're talking about is the international audience, okay? So within the international audience, I realize that there's a spectrum. There are basically three categories of international audience that China has. On the one hand, on the left-hand side, yes, unfortunately, there are many in the audience who are anti-China, okay? Again, closed-minded. They don't like China for some reason, and nothing I say, nothing you say can open their minds or change their minds, okay? But guess what? We write them off. We ignore them, okay? There are many people around the world who hate America, hate Americans. Nothing I say, nothing we say can change their minds, okay? On the other hand, on the other side of the spectrum, there are many people out there who are pro-China. Even in America, believe it or not, many who are pro-China, and in Europe and in Africa, as you know, many who even if they hear something negative, they will ignore the negative and they only believe positive things about China and the Chinese people, okay? And so, yes, you can feed them more positive news, but they already have positive feelings about China, okay? These are the two sides. But I believe that we, you and I, aim for the middle category, the in-between category, okay? And this audience, as I write here, they're on the fence. They could go either way, okay? They're smart. They know that China matters. They know that China is the world's second largest economy, okay? They know that China is the world's largest exporter of products, okay? They know that China is the world's largest consumer market, okay? They know that China is important in every way that matters when it comes to politically, diplomatically, militarily, economically. China matters in every way. So in that, but they haven't concluded China is good or bad, okay? They're still open to it's not so black and white. They're open to the gray. Sometimes China does something good. Sometimes it does something less good. They're consuming media. And with Chinese products, they're keeping an open mind too, the in-between. And the only way to touch the middle category, as I said before, they're smart, they're curious, they're skeptical, right? But they're also open-minded. The only way to influence them is with concrete, credible, verifiable evidence about ourselves, okay? You guys are Chinese. You're going to be looking for maybe Western partners, okay, to enter Western markets, okay? So you are going to be looking for partners who either trust you already, or you're going to have to build that trust, develop that trust, lower the wall of suspicion, even or of skepticism, and build the bridge of trust with that middle category of people who can be persuaded, okay? And so I explain on this slide a bit more about the spectrum, okay? I've given trainings about this to Chinese journalists. This is when I was at CGTN in Beijing, okay? Talking exactly about the spectrum here that you see, okay? I talked about how to influence. Now, one last thing about how this influences or now the connection between China's global communications challenge, as I just explained, that the global communications challenge is, in general, people are suspicious of China. They are skeptical of China. But for the international community that still is open-minded, okay, that the key for China and the Chinese to overcome this global communications challenge is with evidence, concrete, credible, believable evidence, okay? That, and especially, for example, the media. If you, and I met some of you in Las Vegas, right? At the world's largest tech show, right? And there were journalists walking around. The one most important way to persuade those journalists, to attract those journalists, you say, "Hi, my name is, I'm the innovator, and the inventor of this product," okay? How to prove to them that your product is so good? You can show them, not just tell them how wonderful the product is. You show them, you provide the evidence of the results, of the impact. Now, it's one thing word mouth to mouth, face to face, but again, you're not meeting these people, the journalists, face to face most of the time. You're approaching them online. So that's why when you first approach a Western journalist who are going to be very skeptical, you must have that kind of evidence, this kind of content on your website and on your social media channels, even as a starting point, because then the Western journalist, the American journalist, will not believe you right away. Okay? They've heard some negative things about Chinese products. Maybe some products are lying. Again, misinformation, disinformation. So we have to work hard to persuade. Okay? Even, you know what? Let me skip ahead. I did a case study. I could talk about a case study with China's Belt and Road, and the way the Chinese authorities describe the Belt and Road is not very persuasive, okay? And it leads to a lot of skepticism on the part of Western media, Western partners, that sort of thing, okay? Without evidence, then the skepticism only grows and only deepens. I want to zip ahead, okay? Let me zip ahead. I also did some work for Huawei and Ren Zhangfei, your neighbor there in Shenzhen. Okay. But what I want to skip ahead to Shenzhen InnoX Academy. Okay. And then I'll take questions from you guys. All right. I hope you still have some time that you're sitting there patiently. Okay. Just one example, the case study of Shenzhen. Okay. InnoX Academy, right? On the website, okay? In the overview, remember, this is the first thing, the very first thing, that if Shenzhen InnoX Academy, you meet me, right? I'm your target audience. I met some of you in Las Vegas. Hey, Michael, we're from Shenzhen InnoX Academy. We do X, Y, Z. Guess what? I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm also a skeptical guy. So I'm like, are they really doing what they say they're doing? On the website, on the homepage, it says, look down here, an ecosystem to nurture innovative talents and incubate tech companies, okay? Nurture and incubate, those are nice, strong verbs, right? And guess what? My smart, skeptical mind says, show me. Don't just tell me. Let me see the evidence, okay? And you're saying, oh, we promise. No, we mean what we say. But I'm looking for real evidence of that sort of impact. So right there, if I were to advise even the company of Shenzhen InnoX Academy, I would say right here, not the know more, because when you click on the know more, it leads to other activities that you do. Okay, or no, it leads to the overview. What I want to see right there, what even the Academy should be saying is, for examples of our impact, click here. Meaning, for evidence, click right here on the first screen. Okay, you should not make your audience and this is not to criticize. I just want to say, with all due respect, it's just one example that I see over and over again. And for the young people in the room who are going to be launching your brand, again, on the very first screen of text, you're going to say what you do and how amazing your product is. Right there, I would have a link to your evidence. Okay, so at the top, it's not just who we are, what we do, okay, but also it says our impact, okay? Because then reading here, I don't know if you can see in the screen here, okay? But then you have numbers. You have 7,000 here. I wrote it down. You have lots of nice sounding verbs. You nurture, you cultivate, you create, you empower. 7,000 individuals, 300 startups, 400 entrepreneurs, 60 projects, right? All of those are potential stories, great stories as evidence. Again, not just any kind of story, but strategic storytelling to prove that Shenzhen InnoX Academy is truly as impactful as you say you are, as you claim to be, okay? Do you see what I mean, guys? Okay? Because even looking through, right, I saw on the website, here's an example of a product that we helped develop, right? But there's no impact story, okay? Here you introduce this is just one example, right? You introduce the company, you introduce the product, right? But if it were me at Shenzhen InnoX Academy, I would say, you know what? We want to show how we helped this company, how we helped this product become a success, or how we helped them produce to go from just an idea to an actual product. Our impact story as a piece of evidence, okay? And we call this is also, this content is showing how the sausage is made. It's not just, hey, here's a sausage. It's showing the process because it's in Shenzhen InnoX Academy's interest. If you're looking for new supporters, new partners, okay, here, for example, you talk about the mentors, right? If you want to attract more young people, maybe you want to say, you know what? We want to show, not just tell, we want to show how our mentors are helping the young people. Let's tell a story, a piece of strategic storytelling of how exactly some of our mentors have helped some of our trainees, okay? Or here, you have your partners, okay? If you say to yourself, we need to attract, again, if you're thinking about who's my target audience, if you say, we need more universities, we want more European universities, we want more American universities, then I would say, hey, show them the benefits of partnership. Produce a partner story, a partner impact story with Olin University. Okay, I saw you have a professor there from Olin. You can show, to build trust, you can show how exactly you built the relationship with Olin so that you even invited a professor over, okay? And you say, hey, that's a strategic trust building story because we want to show other potential partners how we built trust, okay? Okay, likewise with your programs, likewise even with you guys, the entrepreneur community. You want to attract more young people to Shenzhen InnoX Academy, then also storytelling to show the benefits for the young people in the audience, how exactly you benefited them. You can't just say, we've done wonderful things for them, to show, not tell, through these impact stories, okay? And again, Shenzhen InnoX Academy is on LinkedIn, right? But could do more to present evidence of your impact there, okay? And here's the very last screen before I turn this off, okay? For any of you sitting there now thinking, you know what? Michael's right. Let's listen to Michael. We should create a strategic communications plan, okay? We're about to launch our website, launch our product and our social media channels. I'm telling you guys, you should also have a communications plan for how to create content as a foundation, building upward, okay? Moving forward, building upward, okay? And so if I were you, how to begin, I would gather with my partners, with my team around a table, conference room table, and talk about such things as, what does a result look like for us? What does impact look like? What's our definition, okay? And if we say this would be a positive result, that would be positive impact, then what does that look like? What evidence can we find of positive results, of positive impact? This is when you do detective work. Let's try to identify evidence and then let's dig to unearth it, to pull out that evidence, to bring light onto that evidence and weave it into our stories, some content, some strategic storytelling, evidence of our results, evidence of our impact. Okay. And then here's my last screen. Here's my contact information. Okay. So that's on the screen. Now, okay, that was a lot of talking. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I know it's getting late. May I hear from you guys? I hope we have some time for some questions and even some challenges that some of you face. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Thank you, Michael.
Who could?
Okay. So let me do a short reintroduction for myself.
Yeah.
My name is Li Zheng, and then now we are working on a intelligent hardware product for board gamers, mainly for the people who love playing board game in North America.
My son loves it. Go ahead. Now I'm curious.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Cool. Okay. So I already have some questions before, but so I'm very happy to hear from your speech today, since some of the questions of mine has already been solved. So so now I have a new question.
Yeah.
Now we have already see some of the like KOL YouTubers, bloggers. Maybe they live in US, maybe they live in Europe, and some of them have a really mixed or sometimes a negative attitude on generative artificial intelligence contents. Because in the industry of board game, it is very important to be original. The contents, the design of board games should be original. So
Yeah.
some of them are kind of anti artificial intelligence. They refuse the how do you say the pictures generated by AI to be posted on their Facebook group, like that. However, we believe that artificial intelligence is an important source of contents in the future. Gamers, when they share, when they create their own contents, they play with the friends. You know, board gamers, they play offline more. And then now AI is becoming is having a great potential on the offline scenarios. So we believe in this. How do we combine our product with AI while not not being offensive to the people who are already in this industry and then they do not love AI? Okay, this is my question.
Oof. Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. That's, if I understand correctly, that's a little beyond communications. But what I would say, I mean, that's an interesting challenge that you present. And it also goes back to what I was saying about open-minded versus closed-minded, right? If you have an audience, if you're thinking through your target audience, and part of the target audience is absolutely closed-minded, like you said, even aggressively anti-AI, right? Then it's possible that nothing you say can persuade them, right? So a part of me, if in terms of strategic communications and to build support for your product or your field, is on the one hand, I would find some true believers, let's say those who are in the gaming industry, who believe in AI and the intersection of AI and gaming, okay? I would aim for two audiences, right? I would aim for those KOLs or those influencers saying, hey, I would do my homework. I would approach some of those influencers saying, I know that in watching your streaming channel, okay, and looking at your work, I know you've done X, you've done Y, you've done Z. So you do your homework, right? About who they are, what they've done. Now, here's a new product. Here's our product, which is capable of doing ABC. Would you be willing to try it for free, and then to talk about it, to write about it, to produce some content about it, right? Even offering it, especially when you're starting off, maybe offering it for free. These are for the true believers, right? Now, I would go for those who might be skeptical, but still open-minded. Okay? So then my strategy would be is once I build up some content up from the true believers, then I would take that content to those, the middle category, not the closed-minded, but those who have the potential to be persuaded. And I would show them the AI application to the how it's being applied to the board games, and then to try to persuade that middle category, right? Skeptical, but still open-minded. What do you think of what I just suggested?
Thank you, thank you. I think it's very inspirational. We will try this strategy.
You see what I mean? I mean, like building
Yes.
a foundation of believable content, okay, right? Of strong, convincing content, and then taking that to show those who can be persuaded, who are open-minded, okay? While ignoring those, we don't want to waste time with those who are absolutely closed-minded, I think.
Okay, okay, I see. Thank
Okay?
you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who else? Don't be shy.
Okay, my question is maybe more specific.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I have a website and I have to put some information on that website. I was wondering, should I elaborate on the benefit that consumers can get? Or like you said, I should show how the sausage is made, because I think when people don't know exactly what the benefits are,
Yes.
they may not be interested in how in your production process.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. And by the way, tell me your product so I can imagine the real life situation that you face. What is your product?
We're focusing on makeup removal products and maybe makeup high-tech product. And it's not like material or material products. We are focusing on how can we use high-tech to help people do a better makeup or a better makeup removal.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You know, I can imagine. Again, if I were working with you, right, to really identify not just one benefit, but what are the multiple benefits of your brand, right? Of your product. Okay. And let's say, actually, you still have the microphone. What are the top 3 benefits of your product, for example?
Maybe the efficiency, the time we can save for our customers.
Okay.
And it is more, and it can make people's skin cleaner, so people will so the makeup will not damage people's skin.
Good.
And throughout the long time we can present their makeup better. It can be better looking.
Okay. That's a great example. So 3 benefits you just identified, right? Right?
Yeah.
Good. So if I were working with you, or what I suggest is you and your team, you're gathered around, right? And you're saying, hey, this is a perfect example. Okay. I really appreciate that you spoke up, right? That, hey, what are the benefits, right? What are the results? What is the impact of our product, right? Oh, convenience. The health benefits. The long term that it looks better, the appearance itself, right? We identify, let's say, those 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, right? Now we need content to prove all 3 of those. Okay. We need, let's say, a video, especially because what you're talking about is very visual, right? And you could find without finding actors, maybe you could find real life people, a woman, let's say, okay? With this video, we just want to show the convenience. Okay, just focus on that becomes the core message. The core message is that our brand, our product is convenient. In fact, maybe the message is our product is more convenient than others. Maybe you have evidence that, hey, we timed out, we tried other products, and we have even evidence to prove that our product is more convenient. That's the core message. Now let's show that. Let's bring that to life with a video, right? Same thing with the health aspect, all right? You see what I mean? That the idea is let's identify our core messages, right? Our core objectives of what we exactly we want to show, what exactly we want to prove, right? And then try to think about, okay, what would that look like? Okay? And then how exactly to tell the story. And then you come up with, even in that case, a script. So for each, let's say 3 videos, because then you would have that on the website, on your social media channels and all that, that you would have those sorts of videos as evidence, as strategic storytelling to prove that your product works, the true benefits. Because if you do that, by the way, if you do that, one thing I didn't even mention is that if you do that, that makes your work that much easier. You're selling what to investors or clients that if you have that content, you don't need to just talk. You say, we will let our product speak for itself. Here are some of our satisfied customers. And then you let them speak to tell the story of how your product benefited them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Use the story as evidence to elaborate the benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not just to elaborate, but to spotlight the benefit, like a spotlight from a camera kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, to really highlight and spotlight. Good.
Okay.
Does that
Thank
help?
you. Yeah, sure.
Great. Go ahead. Who else? Anyone online have a question? Or anyone else in the room?
Hi, I'm Tim.
Hi.
Yeah, I want to ask, after we launch our product, we will find some users dislike it and leave negative reviews. So is there any specific users we can engage with, and they will become our product supporter and write good reviews for us?
Ooh. Wait a minute. So let me understand correctly, right? So far you're getting negative reviews. Yes?
Yes.
Only negative reviews?
No, there are negative reviews and positive reviews, but there are always some users will leave negative reviews. So I want to know, is there any specific users we can engage with, like tech lovers or some other personas?
That's a really good question. I'm doing a fashion this weekend. I'm doing a workshop on fashion sustainability storytelling. And we also approached some fashion influencers, some sustainable fashion influencers, right? And so I certainly, if I were you, I would be reaching out to highlight the positive reviews, but also in an in-depth way to explain and even to interview, to reach out to your positive reviews and say, hey, thank you very much for the positive review. Can we talk to you over the phone or through a video call to learn how exactly you benefited from our product? Okay? Because there's benefit there to telling the story, again, because it's a positive review, to learn how exactly it positively affected you, right? Because there's benefit to the organization to share that story. But then I think since you're young and you're starting off, I'm curious, the negative reviews that you got, did you think that they were valid? Did you think they had good points, or did you think they were just haters?
They are just nonsense, I think.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
So no value at all. Nothing like, hey, they had a good point.
Yeah, because they will say the product is so big, like very negative animals, something like that. But I think users will know they are talking nonsense.
Ah, okay. Well, I mean, that's an interesting point. Do you ever respond?
No, not for that reviews.
I wonder if there's value. What I might do is if you hear nonsense reviews, okay, would it be worth your time to respond with a smart response, not to insult the nonsense user, but to explain why their argument is nonsense? If you feel like you're getting negative publicity because of that. I wonder also if you could create a frequently asked questions, facts, right? FAQs. If you were to collect a list of criticisms, let's say, and to address the criticisms on a page on your website explaining, not just the positive benefits, but even criticisms that you've received, and have your responses there. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Like from a strategic communications perspective, even to attack, to say we're not going to hide from the criticism, we're going to address the criticism, unless it is truly just, that they're trolling, they're just saying negative things just to be negative, you see what I mean? Then maybe it is worth just ignoring them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Anyone else? I would love to hear more of your challenges or your objectives, what you're hoping to achieve. Are any of you hoping to get Western media attention or international media attention with your products yet? Or if you go to CES 2026, to the next electronics show, that you're hoping to get some journalists to come interview you? Anyone like that?
Definitely.
Definitely?
Definitely, yeah. The participant, of course, they would love to attract media's attention.
Like what's your product?
Oh, no, I don't have any product. My products are no, no, I'm just kidding.
But you know what? Can I just say, so you is that you, Gloria?
I'm Shay. We met at Impact
Okay.
night. Don't know if you
At the
remember
event.
me and Gigi and Amber. Three
cool.
of us were at
Well,
night. Yeah.
you know what? That's an interesting challenge, okay? If I were you, did you get any media attention for Shenzhen InnoX Academy?
During CS?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
You got some media.
But we attracted, they were organic traffic. So they came to us more or less.
Well, see, now this is a good example, okay? If I were working with your team for next year with media attention, okay? I looked at your website, right? This is just one example for you guys to understand how this works, okay? I see a couple of things that are missing from your introduction, okay? While I was living in China, okay, I realized that China's size matters. The size of China's economy matters, okay? So when I was working with clients to attract Western media attention, to frame, I see Shenzhen InnoX Academy as actually an important organization. And it's important to think about what makes you guys important. It's because China is the world's second largest economy, okay? China is also, as one of the main engines of the world's second largest economy is China's innovation, is the innovation of the Chinese. The Chinese are now the world's largest producers of patents, of unique products, right? And at the heart of Chinese innovation is Shenzhen, right? The city of Shenzhen, right? So then your company actually symbolizes all of Chinese innovation, and your company actually symbolizes all of the world's second largest economy. The world needs the Chinese engine to keep driving, right? And so what you guys are doing there is helping to drive the world's second largest economy, which is driving the global economy. You see what I mean? I'm not saying that
Wow, that's
just to,
big.
yes, it's big.
We would use that.
And this is why I've learned, right, that it's important to recognize the symbolism. If you want to attract journalists and you say, hey, write about us, interview us, we're interesting, I promise, okay? Western journalists are looking for, when I was a journalist and I had to persuade my editors to publish my story or to pay for me to travel to a country, okay? I reported from 30 different countries. I realized that my editors were that they were looking for one of two things. I must prove that my story is either interesting or important to the readers, or ideally both. My story is both interesting and important, okay? And that's why, like living in China, I also learned how to frame Chinese stories to make them either interesting or important or both. And because the Chinese economy is so important, it already attracts attention. Okay? Like, all right, this is a story about the Chinese economy, which is driving the global economy. Let's pay attention. Go ahead. What specifically is the story, right? Chinese tech, Chinese innovation. It's helping to drive the economy. And then you guys working with young people, attracting the best and brightest, okay? So you guys are one of the small engines within the larger engine, and that's both interesting and important. So next year or later this year, we should talk. I can help you, I believe, get some media attention beforehand, which of course would lead to attention for some of your young innovators there, because then the journalists, the Western journalists, would want to interview your founder and some of your top leaders, but then they would want to humanize the story, interviewing some of the young people. This is the whole interrelatedness, the whole interconnection of what I'm talking about, is then if we approach Western journalists about Shenzhen InnoX Academy, they're going to be skeptical. Who are you? What do you do? You say you're having wonderful impact on the young people in the room there, okay? But can you prove to me that you're truly an engine for Chinese innovation and incubation with young Chinese? Okay? Can you prove to me? Because if you can, then I will want to interview your founder, your director, your bosses, and some of the young people there. Okay? I think you actually could be interviewed potentially by New York Times and others. Okay? I think that Chinese innovation is an important story. So your incubator there is also important, what you're doing day to day. What do you think?
Agree. I totally agree.
But you see what I mean in terms of
Yeah.
how it connects the need for evidence
Yes.
is really at the heart of it. If you can prove you are who you say you are, doing what you say you're doing, and truly having that kind of impact, then that can unlock, more investment donors investors who say, I believe in you. I want to partner with you because you've convinced me that you are truly, that's an impressive product, an impactful product or service, right? Or then you would unlock media coverage because, hey, there's something going on that every Western journalist now has heard about Shenzhen, right? And so who to interview in Shenzhen, right? Yes, there's Huawei, but it's not just Huawei going on in Shenzhen, as you know, right? Anyway, it's just you guys are an excellent example of that and a great story, what's going on there. Which is one reason why I'm happy to be talking to you guys today. Because you guys matter.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys matter, okay?
Thank
Any
you
other
so
questions or comments? In the back, I see.
Well, I want to ask a question, because you mentioned that the storytelling is very important,
Yeah.
and I believe that many brands have already realized that storytelling is important. And now I know many brands are actually very good at storytelling, including the founder story, the story behind their product,
Yes.
and the problem that their product want to solve,
Yes.
and so on. So, but in the same time, many competitors are also good at storytelling. So in this situation, there are so many stories, so many storytelling. Our consumers might be story fatigue or story immunity. So how do we solve this problem in this case? Or how to make your story different and stand out? Yes, that's my question.
That's a good question. That is a good question. You know, one thing I see, you know, I mean, there's a lot of talk nowadays, of course, about AI and the role of AI and ChatGPT and DeepSeek in terms of replacing our ability to write. You know, oh, we don't need to write anymore, just have the machines do all the writing for us and all that, right? But one thing I do see is that now, look, every individual, every company, every organization, every government agency, we all need to communicate somehow, okay? And if we agree, yes, we need to communicate, right? As a starting point. You cannot not communicate, or else no one's going to follow you, no one's going to listen. So we all must communicate. Then the question is how to communicate, okay? How to communicate most effectively, okay? And storytelling is one of our oldest human traditions, including among the Chinese as well, of course, right? Like parents and grandparents passing stories down to the children and the grandchildren, oral history or oral storytelling. And so storytelling is it's a very popular word nowadays because it's seen as on a human level, aside from machines, on a very human level. It's something that can touch the heart, touch the mind, and more than that, it can also cross cultures. This is why I also talk about with storytelling, even the need to highlight the shared humanity, okay? That many of your consumers may never have been to China, for example, okay? But if you talk about, for example, I did a training on environmental protection in China, environmental activists in China, right? In English for an international audience, right? And the idea of, well, how to connect our audience with our international audience with what's happening in China. And I said, for example, a Chinese mother who's worried about her child at school, on the playground, on a very polluted day. Back when I lived there in 2015 to 2020, back in 2015, 2016, 17, the pollution in Beijing was still very bad. Yellow air, brown air. You guys remember how it was 10 years ago, okay? Right? And just the idea of telling a story of how a mother, a Chinese mother, was worried about the child's lungs and respiratory system and breathing in that air. that is a universal story. That highlights the shared humanity, because even if I've never been to China, I can relate to a mother loving her child and worrying about her child's health. That's something that anyone around the world would can identify with. My mother cared about my health. Okay, right? And so that's the shared humanity. So it combines the storytelling. It's just a question of recognizing that storytelling is the delivery system for how to convey the information. It's the most effective because, again, it touches the mind, it touches the heart. And so I still think it's the most effective way to do it. And so to answer your question, I don't think that we have to come up with alternatives to storytelling, but to do it better. And again, to recognize how to do it, make sure it's evidence driven, right? Not fiction, but nonfiction, right? Evidence driven, and to put a human face. And that is the most effective, most impactful way to touch the heart and mind of our audience. That's a long answer, I know. Did it answer your question?
Yes, I can feel that. I can feel that, and I know that you mean to express not about like to express your ideas
Yeah.
that connect to the shared humanity
Yes.
and tell your story
Yeah.
with that to just like to touch your audience
Yes.
the deep in their heart.
Yes, and mind.
Yeah, in deep in their mind.
Yes.
Yes, I think I probably understand that.
Yes. And
Yeah,
so it's
I
not
can fear, but I can't make a very clear explanation about that. It's
Well-
like more like a feeling.
Yes, but so it's not a question of finding alternatives or different kinds of storytelling. It's just a question of doing it better and better, just to be ever more effective and impactful and even memorable with the storytelling. Okay. And again, for your audience there, I'd be happy at some point to actually have a writing workshop on how to create these different pieces of content. So we're not just talking about skills and strategies. It's so abstract. That sounds great, Michael, but how do you create it? Okay. And some of you may be a little intimidated because, oh, I'm not a native English speaker. I'm not a good writer. I'm not a good storyteller. These are skills that can be learned. Okay. It's not rocket
Yes.
science. It can be learned
So,
step by step.
so it's still a skill that
Oh, did I lose you? Uh-oh. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm back.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead. Is there a skill?
So it's a skill that you need to practice and do some experiments
Yes.
so you can make the most of it.
Especially for the Chinese. I see that, especially for you guys when you're traveling overseas internationally, when you're in Las Vegas or wherever you are. You need to be able to say, look, in China, we face XYZ challenges. So then we came up with this idea. And again, because you're talking to an audience that may never have been to China, but they're open-minded, they're curious. Okay.
Oh,
And so you need to
yeah.
be able to
Mhm.
provide also enough context, right? Like to take the reader there, take your audience there. Like, let me describe what it's like in Shenzhen, the heart of Chinese innovation, right? On every street
Yeah.
corner, there's some company with innovation going on. Like it's been a while since I was in Shenzhen, right? Like, how would you even tell the story to take the audience there so we can understand even the story of Chinese innovation and Shenzhen as the heart of Chinese innovation? You see what I mean? Like it's a certain skill that I would teach my Chinese journalism students, which is, you can't see the forest for the trees. You guys are inside the forest of China, and you need to be able
Yes.
to step outside the forest to be able to describe
Oh.
China to the international audience. That's a tough skill. Okay?
Yes, so the storytellers should
Yes.
also be open-minded and be brave to share their situation, their real situation
Yes.
to the public.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah. There's a
yes,
lot.
I understand.
Good.
Thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. Yes. Good. I know it's getting late there. Any other questions?
Um, I am wondering that in case of Western journalists and in
Yeah.
case of high-tech company, the topic of shared humanity, storytelling, and the topic of like a very great business vision, which storytelling is more attractive to the Western journalists?
So give me the choices again. The human storytelling, the humanized storytelling, right? You said, or
Yeah.
or
To describe how big your market is and like the business prospect
You know,
and like China is the second largest economy country.
yes.
This kind of story or the shared humanity kind of story.
Uh,
I am wondering like which story is gonna be more attractive to the Western journalists.
you know, so since I was a journalist for many years, right? I'm a bridge. I feel like I'm a bridge between China and the rest of the world. I'm a bridge between American media and the rest of the world to understand both sides, right? And I would say, don't choose, give them both, okay? Because I do see it as the 1-2 punch, okay? They need to understand if you're real as a company, as a brand. Are you real or not? Are you lying or not? As a foundational piece of trust building, right? Okay. And then, and then as the wall of suspicion is lowered, right? And you start to build the trust, then they learn more about, now I can see also the impact that they're having on the brand. Okay. But look, I understand what you're saying. Look, if you if you approach the media with a story pitch, like I just described for Shenzhen InnoX Academy, right? You're describing why we matter, right? So step by step, sentence by sentence, you're pushing the right button with the journalist, persuading them as to why you and your product matter. Okay. And then you're getting to, and here's how we're impacting real people. So there is a certain process of big picture trust in the organization, in the product, right, in the brand, and then you start to learn more. So then there's a humanizing, okay? But if I were you, I would have both on my website, where you have some nice photos of the real people you've impacted with their eyes, because the eyes, as we say, are the window onto the soul. So then you have the combination of the real evidence-driven content about the company, about the brand, and you have evidence-driven content about the real people you're positively impacting. Okay, because I don't think a journalist would take one without the other. Okay, I think that's why I call it like a 1-2 punch of strategic communications. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
does that help?
Yeah, very helpful.
Okay, good.
Thanks for the sharing. Thank you very much. And I think a lot of our founders has been learning a lot from you.
Good.
And we will try to collect all their feedbacks and then get
Excellent.
back to you. Yeah.
Excellent.
If they wanna talk to you, maybe they can find you on LinkedIn. Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
Created a WeChat group, and
Uh-huh.
we will invite all the people who joined us tonight so
Cool.
that they can interact with you in real time. Yeah,
Good. Sounds great.
that will be much more.
I'd be happy to have that. Okay. We could do that. Let this be the beginning of the relationship. Okay.
Of course.
Of
Definitely.
course. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Academy very, very soon. Yeah, you come to the academy someday that when you come to China.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, let's we will show you around.
Good.
Yeah.
And let's have hot pot together. Okay.
See
Thank
you,
you,
Arnie.
everyone.
See you, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jen. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.